welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to give our full recap on this past Saturday's Andre Ward-Alexander Brand fight. If you have not watched yet, check out Rob's initial reaction to the video. I think he put that out maybe like 10 minutes after the fight was over.
Wasn't long.
So it was his emotions were fresh in his head and everything. So now we got a chance to sit down and like actually look at the action and go through it with a fine-tooth comb and bring you our recap. There's a difference between our reaction and our recap.
That's right.
So to bring you up to speed, if you're not up to speed, we had Andre Ward, who is in his second tune-up fight before the Sergey Kovalev mega fight in November against Alexander Brand, who was an unheralded guy from Colombia, who had a very good amateur career, but hadn't had any opportunities in the pro ranks. His one high-profile fight, he lost a split decision to Badu Jack, and that's in like Badu Jack's like ninth. It was his ninth fight.
It was like 9th or 10th. It was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, back in 2012. It was actually 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Okay.
But he only had that one loss, but no one was really expecting him to do anything in this fight. And that's actually what we got. I mean, of course, we weren't expecting. But sometimes crazy things happen. Like, you know, underdogs come in there and win. But that's neither here nor there. Because we just had, in the Olympics, the 123rd ranked judoka beat number 6. That's not supposed to happen. So that is where I'm going to hand it over to Rob for a second, and then I'll elaborate on that. Go ahead.
Okay, so with this fight, Alexander Brand, accomplished amateur background, also only had 26 fights up until this point. Again, lost to Badu Jack. Never been knocked out. Never been knocked down.
No, he was down once in his last fight.
Down once. Moving up to 175 from 168, where he's fought the majority of his pro career.
Right.
In his amateurs, he did fight at light heavyweight. And he did have a few fights at light heavyweight as a pro. They were supposed to fight back in November. Ward got hurt, decided to move up. To truly move up to 175, not 170 or anything. Face Helen Barrera, still fighting Brand. And what we were expecting was a high-level sparring match at this point.
Yes.
These are the type of fights you have to fight. That's why they call them tune-ups. To kind of get your legs under you, get your timing down, work on your technique, get the rounds in, that kind of thing. Now, we've seen plenty from Andre Ward. We wanted to see him, you know, go for the knockout, work on that right hand, you know, mix it up, throw the combinations. We didn't get everything we wanted from the Andre Ward side because he looked sharp. His footwork was there.
It was.
He was trying to walk Alexander Brand down. He didn't have to utilize too much defensive movement around the ring because Alexander Brand was mostly fighting off his back foot, trying to walk or counter Andre Ward on the way in with like a wide, wild, looping shot.
He also tried to uppercut several times.
Yeah, but it was still pretty wide, something that Andre Ward wouldn't see.
Right, he tried to walk him into counter shots.
So, and along with that, he is very awkward, throws some weird angles.
Yeah.
And again, tries to hit you with something that you don't see. And this is a style that's wild, sloppy, but effective because he's probably been utilizing that style for most of his amateur and pro career. Look at kind of like a Mayorga,
right?
Early Maidana.
I was going to mention those
and
guys.
even Vic Darchinyan.
Yeah. Vic's my man. I love Vic.
And again, that style worked for him for as long as he's had it. A lot of those guys. And it takes a supreme boxer to keep his wits about him and not fall for it.
Right.
Because anything can happen in this fight. Because this is supposed to be a tune-up for November 19th. You get hit with one of those, and it ruins all your plans.
Yeah. And that's where that's a good segue into what I was gonna say. There's 3 thoughts that I have about this fight. There's a thought as a fan, there's a thought as a current coach, and there's a thought as a former fighter.
Mm-hmm.
As a fan, I'm like, thank goodness it's over. Let's get the Kovalev fight.
Right.
As a coach, I'm like, what the hell are you thinking? You should have knocked this dude out because you don't know what the hell's going to happen. You could have gotten cut. He could have caught you. He could have, ended up surprising you and being tougher than expected. So once you realize that this guy is not in your league, you get him out of there.
Or it could have been an injury, which Andre Ward has had several of. Broken hand, shoulder, knee, something.
Right, and he's almost like the Derrick Rose of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
And as a fighter, I say, well, I wasn't in there. So I can't 100% say what was going on, the thought process of either guy. Because being in the ring is completely different than being outside watching it. And that's from being a fighter and a coach. Like, there's different vantage points. Because Virgil was saying, look, get him out of there. What are you doing? This is how you get him out of there. Throw your combinations, work his body, come back up top, and you'll get him out of there. I personally think he could have bullied him because the size difference was so massive. Mm-hmm. Like, when I saw the weigh-in picks, I was like, this is obscene how much bigger he is than Brand. Like, this would have been the fight that he got in close, used his inside game, and grinded him down and got him out of there. But he, as the fighter who's actually in there, had other plans. He wanted to work his southpaw stance. He wanted to work his straight punches to the body. And the thing that I was impressed with, because overall I was not too pleased with the performance. I know Rob and I have talked about that privately. I was not too enthused about what I saw. But I was impressed with his stance. His stance was great the entire time. He was always in position to punch. Mm-hmm. He was always in perfect balance. His feet were exactly where they needed to be at all times. So that was a good thing. So back to the stuff that I didn't like. When he did switch southpaw, and sometimes even when he was orthodox, he fell in a lot with his power shots and then did nothing. Whereas we have seen him work very well on the inside before, it wasn't there that night. And against somebody the caliber of Brand, it should have been there. That is how I feel. Because I think if it was there, that fight's over in 6 to 8 rounds. But because as the fighter, I know he's probably wanted to work on some other things. That's what it looked like. And I can't fully say because I'm not him. But I think he worked on the things that he wanted to work on and got that done. And being that it was under the lights, that is a completely different atmosphere than getting it done in sparring. Mm-hmm. You can spar till the cows come home, and you've seen it with several fighters that look outstanding in the gym, but when they're out there in the crowd, in the arena with the lights and the commentators, everything they worked on in the gym just doesn't work. So you do need that full fight experience, which I believe he got. He just didn't do what I felt he wanted to do. So that's a personal issue. Like, that's just on me. Because one, he got the W, which is the most important thing. And he probably worked on what he wanted to work on. Mm-hmm. So my feelings really don't matter. You got anything else?
Yeah, the jab looked great. It looked fast. It looked fast. He had speed on it. He hit it from different angles. He aimed up high, down to the body, midsection, head. It was all there. He started.
I would like to see him double and triple it up, though.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to get to. He hit him with the 1-2. He was throwing the lead hook. He was utilizing his right hand more with the 1-2 or just leading with it. The problem that I had with the performance is if you're going to throw that 1-2, follow it up with your hook. I know it's basic, but it was also there.
Right.
Also, work your way in. He was kind of pulling that jab out there, but I would like to see him throw a jab, something off speed, and then follow up with a nice stabbing jab either to the nose or to the body, and then follow it up with maybe the hook. That way you're still setting it up. Right. Again, these are punches that were there. And I think working more
they'll probably look at the tape and he'll see that those punches were there.
Yeah. And I do like he throws the single shots, he puts some muscle on it, but if he really wanted to get him out there, just working on maybe 3 or 4 punch combinations and actually sitting down on the shots would have been perfect for him to work on in this match. It was the right atmosphere, it was the right opponent, and he was getting the work. He got the rounds. Maybe he just wanted to get the rounds, but this would have been a good statement fight for him.
Especially against a guy that was so overmatched. And I do get, because Brand was trying to walk him into shots, why he was a little hesitant the way he was. Because like we said, maybe he gets clipped with something he doesn't see and ends up getting stopped or getting hurt. And then it's like, oh, like you just got hurt against this guy? I understand that mind frame from actually being in the ring and competing. I understand that mindset, but I also understand the mindset of, if this guy doesn't belong in here with me, I'm getting him the hell up out of there so that doesn't happen.
Now, defensively, he still looked great. Again, I've heard people say, well, his feet aren't there, his legs, he's not using it as much, he's more flat-footed.
They said the same thing about Floyd Mayweather into the Canelo fight.
He didn't have to. When you had that opponent, you saw he was more so trying to walk him down.
Yeah.
He was being the aggressor. So
that's something he's usually not doing.
Exactly. So kind of don't feed into that.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. We didn't talk too much together about this fight, so you see we have differing opinions because we're both different human beings and we're being respectful about it.
Exactly. Also, if you look at his defense, and everyone says wide looping shots, well, wide looping shot is something that is out of your line of sight that you can get hit with. So
ask Robbie Lawler how that feels.
So you have to be on your P's and Q's to make sure that something that you don't see here, and even that overhand fastball that Maidana throws, again, something that you don't see coming. Yeah. Lastly, take note that he didn't get hit with a lot of shots. I've also heard people say he got hit quite a bit in this fight. Not really. He only got landed, it was 2 rounds, they only landed 4 shots, another one was only 1. He as a fighter,
Brand landed like a total, like it was either 38 or 68. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't in the triple digits.
And I think it was only maybe 17% of his shots. And keep in mind that Andre Ward is one of the fighters. The margin of landed shots are very low from his opponents. I think he keeps it somewhere between.
He is number 1, and I think Golovkin is number 2.
Right. And there's different ways of doing that as well. One, you have overwhelming offense, and you know how to switch back and forth.
Yeah, because Leo Santa Cruz is also on that list as well. Right. I think he was number 1, and Ward was number 2, and Golovkin was number 3.
That was also accumulation of shots. But when you
that's to elaborate on your point, because they are offensive juggernauts. They don't give the other person opportunities to hit. Andre Ward uses his movement and his feet to negate those punches, which he did against Brand.
Yeah.
He missed tons of shots because, like he said, he knew that he was walking into shots. He is very defensive mind. Like his defenses are on point. There was a point in the Barrera video in the Barrera fight where Barrera throws a jab and they're probably just slightly.
And he actually did it in the Alexander. He actually did it in the Brand fight. It was real quick.
This was real quick as well. Barrera throws the jab, and Ward parries it. No, you throw your jab.
Yeah.
Ward parries the jab, returns a right hand. Barrera keeps going with the left hook. He brings it back in time to stop that hook, and then counters with his own left hook. Those type of things are the things that you miss when you're not in the ring for a long time. And that's why he wanted to be in the ring.
And you can see with the Brand fight, he did the same thing. He parried it, and he actually had to step back, and he returned fire with that right hand. That's why I'm happy that he started using that right hand more, because it's going to be a weapon for him going forward. Because I don't think he had too much confidence in it after the shoulder surgery.
Yeah, he still hasn't used it a lot. And being that he hasn't done it for so long, that's what makes this Kovalev fight so intriguing. Because a guy as good as Kovalev, you're not going to beat with one hand. And if he really did go out there and unload the kitchen sink on Brand, and he still didn't have him, he might have dazed him a few times, but he never had him in any serious trouble. If you can't do that, he did drop Sullivan Barrera, and he did start to minimize his output later on in the fight from accurate shots. But if his power is not there and Kovalev can just walk through him, then Kovalev is just going to walk through him.
Right.
Now, personally, I think he hits harder than he's given credit for. But we have to see him in there with Kovalev to see how Kovalev feels about those punches.
Yeah, for me, Kovalev is a power puncher. He gets you out of there. He has great technique, so especially with this 1-2, he throws it here, and you can barely measure it. Boom. Boom. Ward, on the other hand, is a solid puncher. He may not get you out of there, but you feel it.
Yeah, you're going to know that punch land. Either from the sound of it, the snap of the head, and a lot of times, that's all you need, especially when you're scoring points in a fight. All I have to do is hit you and do that, and I move out the way. You have to reset once your head goes back. Like, crap, he's not here anymore.
And that's where with Ward, I wanted to see that extra punch. And you see a lot of good fighters do it. Pacquiao, he'll throw 2 punches. You never expect the third or fourth.
That's what got those 2 knockdowns versus Bradley in the last fight.
Marquez did it. I was watching some old Marquez footage. He always followed up with the flurry. He may counter and throw the right over the top, but you could definitely bet another 3 and a 2 is coming right behind it.
Yes.
So it's kind of not just landing the 1, but taking 2, 3, and maybe the 4th shot to really let them know that you're there and that you're not playing around.
Right, and a lot of times you throw those punches expecting for the last one to land or the third one to land, and the opening's not even there until you throw it open, where you're doing a feint or you start throwing punches and they react the way you expect them to react, and the punch is there. Those are things that you have to fine-tune in not only sparring, but in a real live session of a fight, because you have to get used to that person.
Exactly.
So Kovalev got a real good look in Shalimba, and Ward got what he wanted, which was activity. So now it's just getting these 2 guys together for the pay-per-view, which, as I was thinking about it, there's a lot of problems surrounding this bad boy. One, there's a Manny Pacquiao pay-per-view the same month.
2 weeks beforehand.
2, did you guys watch that post-fight interview? These guys are not going to sell this fight. Now, we know that these guys are skilled, but some of the guys that are just tuning in to be like, hey, like, who are these? These guys are the 2 best in the world? Well, the way they talk, I don't feel like watching them. This thing might do like 100 or 150K tops.
Right.
Because neither guy did any kind of good job in selling the fight, really. And honestly, it's not in either guy's personality. These are guys that let their skills do the talking. So this is probably going to be one of those ones that unfortunately bomb. But because they get paid so much money, it has to be on pay-per-view.
And the intensity will not come from the build-up. The intensity will come from the actual fight itself.
Right. And that's what fans like us love about the sport. Like, you see 2 top guys getting in there to find out who's number 1. And, as much as the HBO crew tried to hype it up, it kind of ended up falling flat. A lot of that had to do with Ward not getting Brand out of there. Even though he did some technically sound things, it would have really got some momentum going had he knocked him out. And then Kovalev, English is not his first language. So Of course, he's not going to be as fluent. But Andre Ward didn't help in that aspect either. So
pay me no mind. I'm sorry.
it's just I'm just dumbfounded right now. Like, I don't see how they're going to end up selling this fight. You said it in the video. They have to have a spectacular undercard. That is how that fight's going to have to sell. And they're going to have to put some good names on there and some compelling fights. Otherwise, this bad boy is going to bomb.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of looking... This is where HBO really needs to either come with the money or... Because Rock Nation doesn't have a lot of people on their roster yet. So HBO is really going to have to kind of build on the undercard, kind of like they do with Golovkin and Roman Gonzalez, because they normally have those two on the same card, split site more than likely, but they always have them on the same card, so you're getting two great fighters on there. And because we have this main event, I'm kind of looking at main events just to see what they have, and they kind of don't have a whole lot of people. You could go with Curtis Stevens, and whew. Yeah, it's kind of thin right now with main events and Rock Nation. So if I'm HBO, I pull in some top ranked guys. I see what Golden Boy has to offer. Entertaining guys. They don't need a lot of money.
Right.
You know, maybe somewhere between 100 to 250K. So they can make this fight and make an entertaining undercard. Name, action, that kind of thing. And I have one thing to say about this, because I've looked it up and I just thought this was just disgusting.
What's that?
And this is it. This is my knock on the Rock Nation camp. Ward got $850,000 for this.
Okay. 850,
870. I just know the split was disgusting. Alexander Brand only got 30 grand for this. That is, I know Ward's the name. You gotta pay the man, and that's probably why they had a little bit of trouble getting another opponent.
Yeah, Max Kellerman did say that. He was like, they had a list of names who wanted pay-per-view money for a tune-up fight, and if they were offering only 30 grand, I don't blame any of those guys for not taking that fight.
Shawnee Monahan, Shabransky, Joe Smith Jr., it doesn't matter. If I'm any of those guys, 30 grand, I'm not taking it. So I understand in Colombia, 30 grand might go a long way. 30 grand American might go a long way in Colombia. But that's just a disgusting split. I don't blame Ward. More so I blame HBO and Rock Nation.
Yeah, because he's not the one signing the check.
So I would have at least tried to get the man maybe 100 grand.
Yeah.
And we know Monahan was willing to take that fight on short notice, but the money wasn't there, and I guess that split wasn't really favorable, and I understand. So yeah. I am disgusted about that.
Yeah, and you have a right to be. These guys are putting their health on the line for our entertainment. They should be compensated for it. I mean, we can't say that enough. We say that damn near every video. But it's true. So, yeah, that's really it. You don't have anything else, do you?
No, I have nothing else.
So, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like this video. If you have not done so, make sure you subscribe, because we do have a little drought coming. So, we'll probably be firing up some more technical toolbox videos coming soon. And follow us on all our social media networks down below and in the credits afterwards. If you have anything you want to add, throw it down below. Keep it respectful. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
This is round one and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is come at a cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.